All right, it's time once again for another episode of Hearthcenter. I'm your host, RonMexico, Ronnie Tuesday. I'm joined by a very special episode, a very doctor heavy episode of Hearthcenter this week. We have special guest Doctorfeesh joining us tonight. Incredible in Legacy series. We won't talk about the other series. How you doing, Doctorfeesh?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, we don't have to talk about the last hero standing series.
No, no.
I'm plenty
Skips.
familiar with that. I had a season
Oh
like
yeah.
that. We just don't talk about it.
Yeah, I don't talk about it. It's my first season.
Eh,
It's all good.
And of course, to your bottom, well, actually, not to the bottom right, just off to the right side this time. We're a bit short on hosts this week since Lemur had something come up too. But as always, we have Hearthstone's newest doctor, who has written a nice little intro for himself that I will have to read slash sing for you. Here we go.
go for it.
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da. Now that your lotus is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the gray. How you doing, Lotus?
I'm doing great. I'm going to make a lot more puns like this and song references.
Naturally,
Yes,
Just it's
naturally.
going to get worse every
naturally.
week.
Oh yes.
Well, without further ado, as always, we have a jam-packed show, so we got to just jump right into it. 4 series to cover, PPR for each series, highlights, just action galore. So to start off, Lotus, can you read off for me who was our player of the week in Legacy this week?
One second. I'm just had a little bit of a technical trouble. I'll be there. Do you wanna?
No
Does
worries. Yeah,
Fish
I can,
want to
I
do
can read off
legacy?
the Legacy one here. So, Legacy, our player of the week was Corridon. He had a huge week last week, coming up with a sweep in a 14-10 contest with Defias Brotherhood. But rumor has it this match was played from the hospital, where he also became a father this week. Huge congratulations on the baby, and we wish your bigger family the best going forward. And this last week, Corridon helped put his team in position to sneak into playoffs, so good luck to standard THL degenerates. That write-up brought to you by Based. Next up for Hero Player of the Week, Doctorfeesh, can you read me who was the Hero Player of the Week?
All right. Well, the hero player of the week was none other than Tonk If You Are Corny's 5 seed Skirt Reynolds. With the hero season racing to an end, Orange seemed to be locked up by ATL, but Skirt Reynolds helped Tonk If You Are Corny hit a hard right hit a hard right hand drift on ATL, ending their undefeated season and Maddie Ebbs' undefeated season as well. With only a few weeks left, let's see if Skirt Reynolds has any more tricks up their sleeve to take over ATL here in the final laps of this hero season race. This write up by Brushy Tuna.
Who else?
Who else?
All right, Lotus, if you're up and running, can you tell me who was the Player of the Week for Pro?
The player of the week for pro is I gotta say, this is a player I like announcing a lot. It's Zabe. Honest Zabe is this week's pro player of the week. He comes in huge after beating the almost unbeatable opponent in Heat Shock live on stream. Heat Shock lost only once in the entirety of the THL season up to this point, and I am just like Dusharmo, who sent this description. I am very curious to see how long is the Zabe rampage going to go on for.
Nice. And last up in Wild, we have Battle Tagger dominating in a 3-0 win over previously undefeated F2L newcomer Corbett. This win helps carry Everyone's a Winner to handing F2L their first loss since more than an entire season ago. That write-up brought to you by none other than player for F2L, Itachi. And yeah, that was a super impressive win. Congratulations to all these players. And that is your THL Players of the Week. With that, we will jump on over to the Hero Meta Report. as we get straight into the week that was in THL, starting with Hero, our most brought lineup getting a little bit of shakeup here. Druid, Paladin, Rogue, Warrior. We still see quite a few bans for Warrior. Rogue bans have really significantly decreased, and Paladin bans have skyrocketed. Uh, Tell me a little bit about what's happening in this meta here, Lotus.
Sure. This matter has a few interesting elements. I don't get. Wait, Druid looks really low. This seems wrong.
Uh,
Yeah,
Something's
the
looking weird.
yeah
yeah,
the
that's
win
weird.
rates. Yeah.
I've had a problem a lot lately with this meta report not updating the counts
Yeah,
as I upload them. Let me try to upload
yeah,
this again
Yeah.
here.
yeah. I don't know
Mm,
because Druid. I know Druid has at least 3 wins. I'm not going to say how I know it, but I do know it.
well, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually
And
straight from the lineup stats from the website, so there must be a glitch.
Yeah, there has to be.
yeah. That being
Unfortunately.
said,
But yeah, the rest of the lineup stats at least should be correct there, with Druid being brought very frequently. Yeah, it's right on
yeah,
there on last week. Druid with only one, so something wrong with the data.
yeah. I think what we can conclude is just last week something happened that I think we all realized is two classes rose up. Where before the warrior was very rogue warrior centric, druid and paladin said, "You're all forgetting about us, and now we're real classes." Well, paladin was already real, druid wasn't, but now druid is a real class in hero and in all other formats. It's really strong. It has that gibberling. If you haven't been hit by a turn one huge board of gibberlings,
It's
I'm
coming.
sure you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming. I'm sure you're looking forward to that.
And Arbor Up is
So,
a crazy good
Oh
card.
gosh. Yeah,
That's
Arbor Up's
yeah,
so good.
probably due for a nerf at some point in the near future. But enjoy
so
it
Probably,
while it
yeah.
lasts, because Druid is
that's
definitely back. And of course, Paladin, if you haven't been paying attention, there is a Paladin deck out there that is all kinds of insane. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
Ramp
it's
Paladin,
strong.
Marty's name for it was Flat Earth Paladin, or Rescue Wabbit, I think, called
Yeah.
it Flat Earth
Yeah, it's
Paladin.
Wabbit, yeah.
I've heard Clown Paladin. There's a lot of names.
Yeah, but
But
some decks don't even run
Cheese
Clown.
paladin.
the most appropriate name for it is Broken Paladin, probably.
Broken Paladin, I
But yeah, we'll
Yeah,
only focus then on the lineup part, because there seem to be some issues with the stats, probably across the board. I would guess, with what we uploaded, so we won't spend a whole lot of time on the meta here. But any overall comments we want to make before we move on to Orange Conference?
I think overall I would say keep an eye out for Druid, Paladin, Rogue, Warrior, because those are the two classes
yeah,
that were the
those are good
best
lineups.
before the patch, and the two best after. So the
Yeah.
question becomes: do you just merge them? Do you switch one of them for something spicy? That's your choice, but be aware of those four classes because they're going to be everywhere,
Hmm.
unless there's a
Yep.
nerf.
All right, and let's move on over to a recap of Orange Conference. So starting off, once again, as always, ATL's got that logo there in the top left. They've been dominant all season long for Orange, but what's this? In the first match, ATL 11-16. They they actually have a weakness. Tonk, if you're corny, can beat him. Uh, this is new information. I'm excited. Tonk, if you're corny, is only 3 points behind ATL. Doctorfeesh, I know you've been playing in the Orange Conference. Why don't you break down this match for me a little bit?
All right. Yeah. So Tonk versus ATL was extremely coming in, where I definitely could see the top two results where Turtle's been nearly unstoppable this season. He eclipses the 500 PR with this win. CMAC and Brushy had an extremely tight match on Wicked Wednesday. Um, and I think, uh, and Justin versus Spartan, close one. Blue Spartan's always been a hero player, and It's been around for a while. Risen and Nine Eyebrows, I assume, had a really close one. And Skirt Reynolds pulling off the 3-1 over the previously undefeated Matty Ups, really putting him over the top
That's
in
right.
that
Taking
one.
down that Player of the Week award to boot.
Yeah,
That was a pretty impressive one.
I mean that's about as BGH as it gets. Like 216 PR around there.
Yeah. But I don't think it
Yeah.
changes too much overall in the
No,
grand scheme of what we're looking at for the playoff race. It seems
no,
pretty
it
clear.
doesn't.
ATL and Tonk
Yes.
are your top 1 and 2 that should be making it from Orange. And then we've gotten at large, and well, Fish, that's your team right there. Servants of Yogg-Saron in
Yep.
third place, picking up some subs recently. Um,
Yep.
well, actually, why don't you just go ahead and tell me about Servants versus a Gungan Us Among as well? A 13-12 matchup. This was super tight.
Yeah. Yeah, this was super tight. It came down to my match actually didn't exactly matter by the time it got to it, because the week started with Harash coming in for his first hero match against Obviously, who, I mean, gosh, if you have to start in a series and you have to go up against Avi to start, that's rough. He took a 3-1 loss. And then Marty got a 3-1 over Molestar. And then Neji beating Dardar, put us one away, and Mako getting a 3-1 sealed the week. And I unfortunately did not get any victories for my team, no points, but the team able to pick me up for most of the season so far.
Hey, it's all right. I'm in the
So,
same boat as you. We'll get to that in purple in just a minute. But
oh
I
man,
also couldn't buy a win in my match,
Ah,
but the team won
yeah,
anyway. So hey, sometimes they just put you on their back.
oh
Love
yeah,
to see it.
for sure. Yeah, our
Uh,
team is gonna have some changes, but you'll see that next week.
yeah, I know that Harash is a permanent sub for
He's
Servants of
he's
Yogg-Saron,
permanent.
correct?
Yes, yes. Goose will be subbing for Marty B
Goose
this
is
next week,
subbing next week for Marty
and
B, and are you
and
being subbed out for Sunday? Is that correct?
Sunday is a permanent. Sunday is our At least I think he's just gonna sub for this next week, and we're gonna see how things play, because I am not playing at all the rest of the season, but I think Neji doesn't, because we have a bye week after
Oh, okay.
this. We don't necessarily need to commit to a permanent sub.
Not
So
necessarily locked in. Well,
yeah.
Servants of Yogg-Saron loading up for that playoff run. We'll see if it's going to be enough.
Yes.
The other two teams at the bottom, a Gungan Us Among, very much hyped before the season, but looking all but out of the playoffs. They'd need
Yeah.
to put up some monster scores, like back-to-back 23 pointers or something, to have a realistic chance of making it as the at-large
Yeah.
team. I suppose if anyone can do it, it might be this team, but
Yeah.
um, it's looking rough. And the dark side of Cthulhu, well, we all love to hate on Donde. Donde's team is not going anywhere but
Uh,
hanging out in the bottom of the standings.
yeah. Like, I looked at their team, they just kind of got put in a conference. I mean, if they got put in a conference that kind of loaded up a lot of their higher up seeds, which means shouldn't really mean anything. Like, Donde is having a fantastic season overall himself,
True.
across the series, but the rest of the team's kind of struggling, I think. So
All right, and that
yeah,
will do it for Orange. That's where we are at so far. As of last week in Orange, again, most likely we're going to see these top two advance, and then maybe we'll see that third spot get the at-large bid.
yeah,
We'll look at purple next here. Let's throw it up on the screen. Once again, vote
sure.
of some confidence, hanging on to that top spot in the conference. Always happy to hype up my team, being there is undefeated, number one team in all of Hero Series, by the way, points wise. So that's cool. No thanks to me this week though, as I got swept by Isocles, but the rest of the team came through. Lotus, I've been waiting for this moment. Talk to me about Vote of Some Confidence versus Dad Legend. What happened here, buddy?
This was a really good match. I mean, it's crazy to me the number of 3-0s that happened here. You're not supposed to have this many 3-0s in a match at this level. It's kind of insane.
Nice. Heat Shock in the chat said Chaos Nova.
Yeah, well, My match with Heatchalk was actually really. It was a very weird match because I'm sure he agrees. It was not a like a lot of the matches were just they were there. We had one really good one. The Paladin versus the Warlock was a great match, but a lot of them were just they happened and it was fun. I like playing players who I think are good and who challenge me, so I enjoyed my match a lot, independent of results.
Awesome. Yeah, that's honestly that's all you can ask for, and that's an
That's all you can
exceptional
ask
take.
for. Yeah.
Uh, when it comes to reviewing these matches, like at the end of the day, we are just playing this for fun and for pride. So you get
Oh
don't get
yeah.
too caught up in maybe the other things that are going on. As long as you're enjoying yourself and maybe learning some more about the game, improving whatever it might be, it's always well worth it. So that's awesome to hear.
hmm I think so, and I think a lot of players have this kind of mentality that just let's make friends, let's have good matches, let's learn something new, and that's how it goes.
Absolutely. And then the next match here, we have Fair and Balanced versus Feet of Cthulhu. Fair and Balanced really needed the points here. They are the third place team in purple. There's a pretty large gap between the top two, Vote of Some Confidence and Dad Legend, and the rest of the field in purple. Looking like it should be pretty hard for any of these bottom three to make playoffs, and Fair and Balanced, Feet of Cthulhu, and Tan Pams. Um, but Feet of Cthulhu taking a big victory, denying a lot of points to Fair and Balanced, and in a lot of ways potentially killing their season. Lotus, talk to me about what happened in this match as well.
So, Feet of Cthulhu was one of those teams that, on paper, it looks like it should dominate here
Oh
because they
yeah, for
have
sure.
some really, really crazy players. It's like Valir is great, Nails is great, Pond or Free Hong Kong is. I do not know Cat, but Shu is a really good 5 seed. They're all really insane for the spot they're at, and they finally caught on. Fair and Balance has been having trouble. I mean, their week against Dead Legend the week before was messy. Seemed like they were still in trouble. Cherub not getting his undefeated streak like he was before kind of hurt the team a lot.
Yeah. So sometimes seasons just go this way. Desharmo in chat pointing out that Tanpams does have two buys, where every other team has had only one. For what it's worth, I don't think point
No feet. No
discrepancy
feet. Feet has
wise,
had. Feet has had two.
Feed has also had two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think Tampams will be able to catch up for playoffs. Um, with the bye because they were, I think as of 2 weeks ago, they were like right in that race.
It looks a bit too much to overcome to me with the point
Okay.
gap, but I suppose you never know.
Yeah.
There's always a chance, you can always put up those crazy blowout weeks in points, and if
Yeah,
they
they can.
stack a couple of those, then we're
Yeah.
having a
If
whole different conversation. But until that
yeah.
time happens, it appears to me that the rest of the playoff field is almost certainly going to be decided by teal. So this is our
Yeah.
purple
Teal is
conference from
crazy.
last week, and let's move on
Yeah.
over to teal, put it up on the screen. And what we have once again maintaining their lead in the conference, just barely. Ask HS with a close victory over the team right behind them and dab on them. We have F2L Black was on a bye this week and was possibly positioned to make up some points. I think
Hmm.
they're in strong position to make a playoff run given all the other teams in contention with them still have buys remaining on their schedule, whereas F2L does not. But the point totals for Ask HS and Dab on them pretty reasonably high, looking like they're major contenders for those top two. And honestly, any of these NPH, F2L transfer students are all poised to potentially crack into those playoffs. So Teal's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. We have one series with actual emotion in the end. The others seem well, it could get a little bit confusing, but it's like this one we don't know anything.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
yeah.
Teal, we are totally mystified. The other two conferences look pretty much set. Like, okay, there's a top two, there's a top two. Maybe the third place team could make it. Maybe the other third place team, they're probably out, but they could make it. And then Teal, we got a top two. Maybe even one of the top two gets bounced, and all of the bottom three very possibly in playoffs. Let's start with
Yeah.
this match here. Ask HS versus Dab on him, 13-12. Fish, tell me about this match. What happened here?
All right. It looks like it came down to a situation where one of the matches needed where Dab on him needed like one more point in a match to tie or to even deny an extra point. I saw in chat Diamond saying that Nice Jewish Owl didn't get the sweep for the tie.
Oh, for
He let a
shame.
point up.
For shame,
Uh
Owl.
so we have Mr. Python undefeated in Hero continuing his dominance with a 3-0 sweep of Based Ink, which I would not expect because
Yeah,
Based
Mr.
is
Python
also
has
an
been
insane player.
insane this season.
He has been insane, yeah. Top on ladder, like super high top ladder finishes, and just winning everywhere in THL. Uh, Draco Cat taking a 3-1 loss to Nice Jewish Owl, who came in as a sub for Boozosaurus this
Crucially,
week.
though, did get
Uh,
that 1 point for the victory.
he got yeah, Draco Cat got the 1 point. And Dr. B taken a 3-2 over Duin, hand his first hero loss of the season. Uh, getting swept by Astropog. Um, I talked to Kel about that, and he said, man, it just was not a good series for him at all. But I know he'll bounce back. Kel's a really good player in his own right, and then Double is getting a 3-2 win over Buse.
Yeah, that's a
But
big
Buse
one,
being down
too.
in the five, I am very surprised to see him having two losses because he's like 400. He's almost a 500 PR legacy player. I mean, some people do struggle in one series versus another, but yeah, it's just interesting to see Dubles taking that win over Buse.
Yeah. And then we have in the next match, transfer students taking another victory over no pros here. It's too bad that Lemur wasn't able to make it tonight because
Yeah.
he would just be full of bluster about how he called transfer students making the comeback. They started 0-4. He put the rest of Teal on notice, said, we're going to win out. And so far, they've done exactly that. They're on a
Yeah,
two-game win streak, and they're only 1 point behind the next team ahead of them, and 5 points behind the team they just beat. Lotus, talk to me about this match. What happened here?
This match, the transfer finally came back or came in again. Fox for Life, or however you say it, won. PWE won for NPH. G Kick, who's just an insane player, won for the transfer students. Chaser managed to get out of the 1-4 against Disco with a sweep, and Quaz beat Loomer. Quaz is that is a really huge gap. I forget how 50 PR or below 50 PH because of this kind of thing.
Yeah, that might be a BGH. I'm not actually sure who currently holds BGH, but Quaz definitely in contention with that victory.
it'd probably be Skirt
Oh, right.
beating Maddie. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But what we're looking at with Teal is just very interesting right now. Good points
yeah,
being made by chat as well. Ask HS does have one more game played than Dab on him. So points per week, Dab is actually theoretically in the lead in the conference because they score more on a per week basis. NPH
yeah,
is actually also theoretically trailing F2L Black with the deficit in points per week there, which kind of puts Dab first, Ask HS second, and F2L third for what we'd be looking at in expected points as this season rounds out to a close.
Right. Yeah, you can expect it to be, let's say, around 10 points if you assume a missed week is equivalent to 10 points. So
Yeah, but
Eto'o Black is looking better than it seems, I would say.
yeah. But, points per week is not necessarily not necessarily an indicator of what you will earn next week. It's why we play the
Yes.
games. Very important stretch run for all of these teams, and I think we have our major contenders for the final spots of playoffs, those final two at-large bids outside of the leaders in the conference. It's going to be a
Yeah.
race, I think, between NPH, F2L, transfer students, and servants of Yogg Saron from Orange. So keep your
I
eyes peeled to
would
Hero Series for what happens.
I would add one more team, and shout out to Desharmo. I think he was around here, but I want to call TPSS as a team that might make it in.
Okay.
Nice. Well, we'll revisit that quasi prediction in a few weeks. But it is now time to move on over to our player power rankings, the moment some of you have been waiting for. We have up on the screen your player power rankings for Hero Series Week 6. Starting off, we have Turtle, who is 6-0, 18-3 in game score. Unbelievable performance. Just completely dominating Hero. The clear cut number one. Barely behind him, though, Mr. Python at 6-0, 18-4. Number three, we have Hockey Boys, also undefeated, 5-0, 15-4. Isocles, off the back of a strong sweep over some scrub named RonMexico, taking the 4 spot at 5-1, 15-6. Gymphalos 5-1, 16-5 in the 5. We have Risen in the 6, 5-1, 17-7. Heat Shock moving on up in these rankings, 5-1, 17-9. Brushy Tuna, am I reading that right? Brushy Tuna? 5-1, 15-9 in the 8 spot. We've got Matty Ebbs 5-1, 16-9 in the 9. And to round out your top 10, it is Dewin 4-1, 14-6. And as for honorable mentions, Lotus, why don't you tell me who these honorable mentions are? I see a notable name down at the bottom there.
Yeah, G-Kick got an honorable mention for going 4-2. Cherub got an honorable mention for going 4-2. RoboCats got a 4-1 honorable mention, and I got an honorable mention. I still don't know why, but for 4-1 so far.
Nice. I like how you skipped Donde.
Who? I don't know who that is.
Well played. Well played.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Love to see it. But there you have it. This is your player power rankings for Hero Series Week 6. As always, spam the rigs. Who knows what crazy kind of scoring system Donde uses to come up with these absurd rankings for some of the players. How is Donde in the honorable mentions at 3-2? Wait a minute, I'm 4-2.
Yeah.
I'm not in
Game
there.
score.
You
I'm
know,
guessing it's game score.
I'll tell a short story here because I think this is how Dante does it. There was this one teacher in a school that I knew that the way he graded exams was he would take the whole pile of exams, throw it up. So the quizzes that fell on the table were a 10, the ones that fell on the chair were a 5, the ones that fell on the floor were 0.
Oh my
And I
God.
think that's what Dante does. He just takes the names that are
Nice.
positive, throws them up, and then says, here, 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 done.
Yeah. Of course, the system can only be rigged so much. So if you want to be up at the top, the only advice we have for you is just keep winning. And
Just to win.
eventually, you'll get up there. Donde
Yep,
can only
just
freeze
win.
you out
Well,
for so long.
there's another way. If you sub to the channel, you can try to convince Donde by just offering him a bribe.
Nice.
Sure.
As always, please consider subscribing to our channel. I love it, Lotus.
Yeah.
And with that, that does conclude our Hero series that was in the last week. We're going to move on to our meta report for Wild. Sadly, Marty B is not with us here tonight, so our Wild knowledge is severely lacking. Also, I
Yeah.
think that we had some data errors potentially in all of our meta reports this week, other than the actual lineups. The last week and overall seem to be a little bit glitchy. So we won't spend a whole lot of time on any meta reports this week. We will just comment on the top brought lineups, Mage, Priest, Rogue, Warlock being brought a total of 9 times. Really high win rate both in matches and in games. As
Yeah.
always, when you look at bans overall as well, Mage and Priest way up there for Wild.
Yeah, this definitely doesn't seem like it's very bugged for the at least for the classes. I mean, these are the classes I see everywhere where I look for Wild.
Yeah,
The
Rogue I think definitely went way on the upswing after
Yeah,
the introduction of Nitro Boost Poison. So Kingsbane
yes,
Rogue gets extra crazy.
Kingsbane Rogue is really good. Yeah,
And Warlock,
Um,
well, Warlock was already broken beforehand. Um,
it just keeps staying
Dark
broken.
Glare Warlock is an
Yeah,
insane deck that is
yeah.
would probably be an auto ban were it not for the existence of Secret Mage and Raza
Secret
Priest.
Mage and Rasa Priest. Yeah.
But there you have it. That is your wild meta report. We're not going to spend too much time on this since we may be having some data reporting issues. We're going to jump on into the Green Conference. And starting off, we've got everyone's a winner, just destroying everyone. Uh, they
Yes.
they've just been unbelievably good this entire season. Their points per week is 20. 20 points per week. They haven't lost a game.
Yeah.
They just faced the defending champions in F2L Viridian, and they won pretty convincingly. I don't know
Yes.
what more you can say about this conference, but we have a very, very clear front runner, and it is everyone's a winner. Feesh, why don't you start us off? Talk to me a little bit of a breakdown through this match. Everyone's a winner versus F2L. What happened here?
Sure. I think the most surprising result of this match is the Battle Tagger versus Corvette match. The fact that it was a sweep. I mean, you could have convinced me either way that Corvette or Battle Tagger were gonna win. I'm gonna guess based off lineups that Corvette might have tried to get a nice counter lineup on Battle Tagger. Maybe it didn't quite work. I mean, it looks like he brought Secret Mage, Odd Paladin, Kingsbane Rogue, and some form of warrior. Um, Perhaps like an Odd Warrior or a Pirate type deck, and we got very likely Raza Priest, Kingsbane Rogue, either Dark Glare or Reno Lock, and um, yeah, Warrior on the end of Battle Tagger, and he just took a clean sweep. 6J getting a nice win over Marty B on stream. Marty B could not quite get his Secret Mage a win. He played it in all of his losses, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
Neji versus Absolute was an absolute banger match on stream on Thursday. Casted that one, and that came down to the absolute wire.
That's right. I had the
And
pleasure of casting that one with Brushy Tuna, and that was a thriller. It was crazy. It was hard
yeah,
control versus hard
I
aggro, and Neji got there.
it
He did
was.
make us suffer through a
He
Jade
did.
Druid versus Bomb Warrior match that went like
Yes.
way too long. But
Yeah.
other than that, it was fun.
Yeah. And then Sunday taking a 3-2 over Itachi, and Hazer taking a 2-1 or 3-1 over Rotted Zombie. And that's really rare. Like, Rotted Zombie only took 2 losses the entire season last season. And he has 3 now
I
this
think
year.
I think
This
Marty might
season.
have mentioned is Hazer's a new addition to Everyone's a Winner, correct?
Yeah, he came in a couple of weeks
And
ago, it
is
seems
somewhere
like.
in like the top 50, top 25,
Yeah,
maybe better in
makes
like
sense.
ranked Wild Legend. So not
Yeah.
surprised to see
No, not
Hazer just
surprised
hit the
him.
ground running.
Oh yeah. I mean, everyone's a winner is comprised of really strong mostly really strong wild players. F12 Viridian is a kind of a combination of really strong wild players and like Corvette, Marty B, and Rotted, and then Neji and Itachi are all just like super strong players
Yeah.
in their own right.
I gotta say, Wild players take note because Everyone's a Winner is the team that is just absolutely destroying everyone else. And I see one common theme among their entire team's lineup. It's Priest. They all brought
Yes.
Priest. Wild
Yeah,
players,
Priest
you should
is
probably bring Priest. Is
yes.
real good.
If you're gonna play Wild, you should probably have Raza Priest as a deck you can play.
All right. And I can handle this next one if you don't want to
Sure.
jump into Wild Lotus, because I know often I don't call on you for Wild, but if you want to take this one, it's fair game. Otherwise, I'll read through it. Patches Payback versus Ghosts of Fell Screams.
I'll do this for Tuna. So,
Nice.
Brushy Tuna, who lost this week in Wild, um, was, well, the head of Patch's Payback, and the team squeezed by Ghost of Scream. And it's important because the season is getting closer to the end. You really need to make the points against the teams that are lower. Tuna wild card or lost a wild card 1 and 3, and Dirty Mike got swept by Nate Wolf TCG, but then the rest of the team compensating with Sir Los, Tony Montana winning 3-1 over Casual R, and Tito Santana and Lefty beating Cadbury Leg. That's a great username. Just amazing username. 3-0. Yeah, I think this is a really strong showing by Patches Payback, and good to see one match where Mage kind of didn't perform well, and then a match where Mage performed a lot better. Interesting.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cadbury Leg, best name in THL.
Nice. So what I really like seeing this here is this is a huge victory for Patches Payback. For those of you unfamiliar with the Wild Series playoff format, we have 14 teams in Wild, which means the top 3 from each conference at the end of the season will make playoffs,
We're
and
gonna go with this.
the
Okay.
remaining 2 teams to fill out our 8 playoff teams will be selected from the
Yeah.
top point earners. So right now, Patches Payback is playing themselves into a potential playoff spot with the big victory. They didn't start off all that hot, but this team is really making some waves. We've got everyone's winner who seems to be, like a stone cold lock for playoffs. F2L
Oh
Viridian, I
yeah.
don't think anyone expects they're not making playoffs either. So it's going to be a
Yeah.
race between Patches, Hair Club, Made in Heaven, and
Yeah.
entertainers in Wild THL look to be mostly out of it at this point, barring some massive weeks.
Yeah. The only thing I point out for F12 Viridian is look at the fact that their points per week and their AOS is exactly the same.
Oh yeah, it's
They're
pretty nutty.
4-1.
Hardest schedule in the season.
They've been playing
Yeah,
the best teams and they've only lost to one.
pretty
So,
impressive. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, and with that, we will move on to the Brown Conference as I continue, I guess, to have to eat my words and make my official apologies to a Noyo team. I was the owner of an exceptionally bad take talking about a Noyo team not being as good as they looked because they had some early DQ victories. And I thought most of their points, they're not even real. Well, guess what? We have a new leader in the Brown Conference, and it is a
Yeah.
Noyo team. I am sorry, guys. You are for real. The lesson is always, I am an idiot, and this is a really exceptional match to start off. A Noyo team taking a 14-12 victory over Mad Scientist to jump into first place in the conference. This first place spot was held every single week by Seas of Cheese up until this week. And Seas of Cheese, not only did they lose their top spot, but they've actually dropped out of the guaranteed top 3 for playoffs.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that in a moment with the Hey Loser versus Seas of Cheese matchup. But to start, a Noyo team versus Mad Scientists. I just want to break this one down here and look at this match here. MTG Squirrel taking a 3-0 victory in the one, doing what he does in the two, and
Uh,
you know, of course. And then
He
just
do win.
really strong players throughout. Some back and forth matches in the 3-4-5. And this one, honestly, it looked like it could have gone either way. So props to Mad Scientists for, they're currently only at 60 points, second to last in the conference. But it's really showing the strength of the players we have in Wild that we're having such close matches between, the top point earning team and close to the very bottom point earning team here.
Yeah.
And next, of course, we have Hey Loser versus Seas of Cheese. I gotta admit, I'm a little bit sad because I really wanted to tease Lemur about this since he was bragging about Seas of Cheese all
Yeah.
season long. Maybe there was more than just some random phone call into work uh, for him missing this week. He probably just didn't want to get hated on for Seas of Cheese losing here. But Hey Loser, pretty well regarded as probably the strongest player skill level wise team in the Brown Conference. They picked up a massive victory, getting just barely out of the top spot. I expect that they will probably take that top spot here in the next few weeks since this team is just so incredibly strong. But Fish, can you walk me through this match here? This was kind of a blowout. What happened?
Oh, I would love to. This was the type of week I was expecting from Hey Loser most weeks of the season. I was expecting them to, not really be 3-2, but maybe be like 4-1 or 5-0 with how strong this team really is on when you look at them. Because F12 Viridian has a couple of really strong players. Everyone is a winner. Everyone's a winner has a lot of strong players, but Hey Loser also sitting there with Memnarch, who is a top 10 wild player most months. He got a 3-1 win over Siege. You got GM Rami taking a 3-2 win over Slod. Who also, I mean, Slod's also, and Slod and Siege are both really good wild players in their own right, but just came up a bit short this week. Skittles taking a 3-2 over Lemur. I mean, Skittle's an insanely strong player. Lemur, I mean, all season, Cheese. I was really high on them all season because I just kept seeing them win. I was like, man, this team's really making a nice little run here. I mean, it would be nice to see them get into playoffs. But we'll see if they're starting to go on a downslide. Roni versus Scritch went 3-2 in Roni's favor. Roni's taken some real nice wins this season in his 2 victories so far. But he took a win off of the whoever was playing the 5 seed for F12 Viridian that week, and Posca taking a 3-2 win over Blue Sombrero.
Yeah,
I'm still
so
gonna pull for my boys on Seas of Cheese, but it's nice to see Hey Loser get a result that I wasn't necessarily expecting, but I could have seen that happening.
I mean, they were starting to fall out of the playoff race, but this is
Yeah.
massive in so many ways, denying points to Seas of Cheese, who was in the lead, and picking up
Hmm.
just as many points as they possibly could in this victory
Yeah.
here, and moving their way right into the playoff conversation at the number 2 spot. Bash Bros 2, Electric Boogaloo, amazing name, is in third
Oh
place
yeah.
now, and if the playoffs started today, would be making it. And then we have the teams that are currently out of contention as of right now, but still kind of on the outskirts. Twitch.tv/MTG Succulent, you know, the kings of self promotion,
This is
hanging out
Kings
at
of self
62
plug.
points there. Mad Scientist
Yeah.
at 60, but picking up a pretty impressive amount of points in a loss to the top team. And finally, Ghosts of
Yeah.
Fell Screams really struggling so far this season, unfortunately. I
Yeah.
don't think it's at all realistic that they could make playoffs, even with a string of 20 plus point weeks. But
Not very unlikely.
I mean, if there is a world that it can happen, good luck to you, Ghosts of Fell Screams. And with that, that concludes our recap of the Wild series. And now, you Wild players, we have the moment you've been waiting for. Once I update, that is the words to say week 5 and not week 4, so it's more accurate.
Yes.
Or, well, not 45. Week 5. There we go. Okay, and let's move that up on the screen. So, player power rankings, your Wild Series Week 5. Starting off, we have who else but Battle Tagger, a conversation topic in around the saloon just last night. This guy, what more can you ask from a season? 5-0, 15-2 in game score, just unbelievably strong. Just took down Corbett as well, who was the number 2 in player power rankings. He bumped him down all the way to number 9. Number 2, we have Quake Lord at 4-1, 14-7. Wildcard undefeated at 5-0, 13-5. We have 6J who has broken the branding, but moving on up. I'm sure he's happy about it regardless. 5-0, 15-8. Rami at 4-0, 12-4 in the 5 spot. We've got Maxibon at 4-1, 14-8 in your 6. Our number 7 is held by Slight at 4-1, 14-8. Sunday holds the number 8 spot in power rankings, 4-1, 13-7. The aforementioned Corbett at number 9, 4-1, 12-6. And for the second time in a player power rankings list, Dewin at number 10 rounds it out, also 4-1. Interesting. Well, Dewin, I guess, has a bit of a theme going, but congratulations to these players. That is your Wild Series top 10 player power rankings. And there's a lot more exciting names on this list too. When we look at honorable mentions, Doctorfeesh, can you tell me who are the honorable mentions for this?
Honorable mentions in Wild. We got a lot of Green Conference in this honorable mentions, but we got one Brown Conference member. That is Memnarch, 13-9, 3-2 record, 12 PAR. We've got Otters going 3-2 with the same game win rate, 13-9. And Neji Boston at 4-1 with a 14-11
I had to
game
call
record.
out this one for you because it was your boy Neji.
Oh yeah, Neji is getting a lot of 3-2s based on his 14-11, but he's getting it done. Got Peanuts 3-2, 12-7, and Absolute at 3-2 as well, 11-6. A lot of everyone's a winner here in the power rankings.
Oh yeah,
4 members.
I am happy to see, based on just week over week. Last week, the power rankings were almost completely dominated in the top 10 by Green Conference, and we're seeing a lot more Brown Conference make it into that top 10 right now.
Yeah, it's
So
dead
nice
even.
to see a little bit more parity, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
And that will do it for us for the Wild Series that was last week. Before we jump into Legacy, as always, we're going to take it back over to the caster screen because I have a rapid fire commercial for you. You know, we got to have that support from you guys. So please, please, as always, consider subscribing to our channel. We'll jump right into this rapid fire though. Switch modes. Hey there, Twitch viewers. Have you subscribed to Team Hearth Legends yet? No? Then make today the day to be a legend yourself and subscribe to our channel. This subscription will enable the THL team to help cover the various costs of operating our website as well as improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. If you have Amazon Prime or Twitch Prime, you can actually subscribe to this channel for free. Subscribers get a THL emoticon as well as the lovely THL chat badge. So hit that heart button and keep the notifications on to make sure you catch our team broadcasting live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out THL's other social media points of interest, our website, teamhearthlegends.com. Follow us on Twitter at THL_HS. Join us on Discord, Team Hearth Legends. Check out the THL PAL podcast for power rankings for all series wherever you find your podcast. The true Hearth Legends himself, Saku, continues to post all of our videos on our YouTube channel. Just search Team Hearth Legends to catch everything previously recorded. You are, of course, watching us on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Team Hearth Legends, or possibly on our YouTube channel in the future. For all you THL fanatics out there, there are THL shows every single day of the week. You can't go wrong tuning in at any time for some amazing Hearthstone-related content. Now back to the good part.
Pow.
And yeah, we got to do it fast. We got too much to cover. We're jumping right into Legacy now. So here we go.
Sick.
Get it up on the screen. Legacy meta report. And we are looking at Druid, Paladin, Rogue, Warrior. The same lineup, Lotus, you mentioned, was the one to watch out for in Hero. Well, turns out it's also one to watch out for in Legacy. This was brought 19 times. The win rate not super impressive just yet here. Demon Hunter, Druid, Rogue, Warrior actually looking extremely impressive. In its win rate, although brought a lot less often, so smaller sample size. We won't dwell on the last week or overall because I have my doubts, given the hero report showed one druid bring, and that just
it looks
work.
like it looks like druid is the only class where there's an issue.
Yeah, maybe druid is just weirdly affected somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. Because everything else looks pretty good.
But yeah, I mean, we can draw some trends just by looking at the bans. When we see Warrior, Paladin, Rogue, And Paladin way on the rise. Warrior now our top banned class from last week. What do you make of this, Lotus?
I think there are a few interesting notes. Well, of course, there's the rise of I'm going to call it as an homage to a wild team. I'm going to call it Seas of Cheese Paladin because it makes perfect sense.
Nice.
It does.
And
They were ahead of the
so
curve.
yes, and I think that deck has been making quite its strides in Legacy. A lot of it to me seems like Druid, Paladin, Rogue, Warrior, and Demon Hunter are the 5 classes. Pick which ones you want to bring, and that's how it looks to be according to this data. Is would you rather have Demon Hunter and have the Druid, or would you rather swap Demon Hunter in for the Paladin or something? And we see the different effects. I don't think there's a clear pattern that points to a certain lineup being the best, but you really want to think about those classes.
Yeah. And we can't overlook the power of Paladin, especially in closed list, because
Yes.
Yeah.
you do not get to know in advance what archetype your opponent is bringing. And with Paladin having that insane archetype out there where you are going to lose if they play Allura and a spell on turn 4 or 5, um,
Yeah.
it might just be
Yeah.
drawing a whole lot of I don't want to deal with that bans
Oh, it definitely
regardless of
did.
what archetype the player chooses to bring.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also an interesting effect in Legacy that always happens that classes with multiple decks, they're just a lot better in Legacy because of that. And Paladin has more than one deck. They have Pure, they have Libram, which were relatively similar, but now they have something completely different in Ramp. Warrior kind of has 30 different decks right now, and they're all
Oh
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, warrior can
Different.
go a lot of different directions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Druid is also flexible. Rogue is arguably flexible, and Demon Hunter is flexible. So you can
Yeah.
see classes that can just do a bit of a really good results in Legacy and Hero
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
versus more limited classes like Warlock is arguably a limited class because yeah, there's Gala,
There's
but a lot of times you're going to have to go through.
yeah, I say there's 2 brings for Warlock, but I think Galalock is kind of going a bit away. It seems in favor of Zoo, but we'll see how Warlock pans
Zoo
out.
appears to be the stronger archetype at least, but there's
Yeah.
some new experimentation in Warlock as well with some control lists running Rust Wicks, so we will see
Yeah, Prime
what the meta
Warlock.
brings.
It's so much fun.
Oh yeah, it definitely is fun to play a whole lot of primes. Maybe not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily
Yes.
fun for your opponent with some of the shenanigans that can happen, especially if you find like uh, what the demon prime that resurrects Rustwicks and puts more primes in your deck, and you just get
Oh
multiple
yeah.
like Solarian primes, and just it gets full scammy. But you know things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but with that said, we will move on to the recap of Gold Conference. Let's get that one up on the screen. And as always, it's Foolish Madmen up at the very top with an insane point gap. 121. They're 23 points above the next closest team. This team is insane.
Oh
They
yeah.
cleaned up once again. It's not even interesting anymore to cover their matches because they just take like dominant victories. They just smashed F2L Red in I think a 20
Yeah.
point week. So Foolish Madmen almost certainly completely locked in for playoffs. I don't see any world where they don't make
Yeah,
playoffs
no.
here.
One diamond in
No.
chat, 1 point to clinch.
1 point. Oh wow. But yeah, we will move on to our number 2 team who's moving up in the rankings. Golden Common BTW taking a huge victory over Always Top Deck Lethal, the team directly below them in the standings now. Lotus, can you walk me through this match? What happened here?
Yeah, standard THL Degenerates won with Sergeant Teabag winning 3 to
Oh, I
2.
was looking at the first one, Golden Common
Oh,
ATL.
yes. Sorry, for some reason my eyes drifted to the one below. Golden Common BTW versus ATL. Agent PWE beat Nails 3-1. No Glocko beat Tisu 3-0. Pasca lost 1-3 to Matty Abs. Jester beat Mojo Powell 3-2. And Snake Pods clinched against Shinsui 3-2, giving Golden Common a really important result. ATL is a really, and this kind of means the field for gold is tight. It's going to be hard for standard THL degenerates, and it looks very safe that Foolish Madmen, Golden Common Bite Away, and Always Up that Lethal are making playoffs.
Yeah, because of the total amount of teams that we had for this season for Legacy, it winds up having a little bit of a shorter season this season
Yeah.
here, as we are actually heading into our very last week. Week 7 coming up is the final week of Legacy. And with the 24 team format, it means the top 4 from each conference will be the ones that make playoffs. There's still a chance for standard THL degenerates who picked up a big victory here. There's still maybe a chance for Defias. Pod people and Stubs of Prey, I think, have been theoretically
They're
eliminated, maybe
they're
not
pretty much out
mathematically
of
yet.
it. They're pretty much out of it. But yeah, I guess not mathematically.
But it looks very likely to be your top 4, as the standings are holding right now, will will be the ones that make playoffs for gold. Um, but who's to say? Foolish Madmen took a huge point victory over F2L Red, which could potentially cost them. There is still room for some of these teams to make up that deficit. We're going to talk about that starting with standard THL Degenerates versus Defias, though. Doctorfeesh, can you talk me through this matchup? What happened here?
Sure. So Sergeant Teabag took a 3-2 win over Blue Sombrero. Um, and Electric Sheep City took a 0-3, a sweep from Wild 9 in the 2. Neb Canuck getting it done 3-2 over Draco Cat. But the 4 and 5 of standard THL Degenerates both sweeping quad or well actually quads. It looks like he took a DQ win over Timothy Chambers, and Corden getting a 3-0 sweep of comp. To move to, almost looks like Corden can almost get himself a winning season here. I know he can't have a losing season, so good on him in his first legacy season, picking up a player of the week and picking up a positive
Yeah.
a non-negative season.
Absolutely. It's a very important win for standard THL degenerates to
It
have a
is, yeah.
chance at playoffs. I think if anyone is cracking in out of gold who's
It's
outside
these
of the
teams.
top 4 right now, it is probably this team.
Yes.
Defias taking an unfortunate loss here for their chances. They got 10
Yeah.
points, so there's still a chance for them too. 23-point weeks happen. 0-point or 3-point weeks can happen for teams that are in contention as well. But I would say most likely we've got our top 4 set for gold, and at least definitely
Yeah.
Foolish Madmen. They're in, and they are the team to beat in all of Legacy, is what
Oh
it looks
yeah.
like right now.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that, we're going to move on to Red. And Red Conference, put it up on the screen. Pour one out for my brothers in garbage. Prep is for rogues.
Yeah, I'll pour
We
one
are
out.
we are not, I think, gonna have any realistic chance of making playoffs. But that's all right.
Yeah.
We know what we are. But to start off with our top 4, Team Trees been holding this top spot for a while now. We've got 2 insane players in the 4 and 5, undefeated all season long for this team and just completely dominant, carrying the team. In second place, Dirty Mike and the boys, they did actually take a loss to my team Prep this last week, but shouldn't be enough points to make a difference. They still picked up a good amount of points in the loss. Murgle Reborn in a close loss to Team Trees this week, picking up a solid amount of points to stay in contention, and really close race in the 4 and 5. We've got Swallows that follows, actually 4, 5, and 6, honestly. Um, Sir Finley Squires, Ticketus Punchers, all in striking distance, I would say, of a playoff berth right now. But Swallows holding that 8-point lead, which could be very crucial. We'll get to their match in just a moment. But to lead off, Team Trees versus Murgle Reborn. Talk to me about what happened here, Lotus.
Team Trees continues to do what they do really well, which is win the 4 and the 5, and then get one win on their top 3 seeds. That's what they've been doing the whole season, and that works.
Yep.
Trido and Toothfly continue their dominant performance, and Karate Dom getting a win over Dabs was enough to squeeze by Murgle Reborn.
Yeah, it seems just every week someone in the top 3 for Team Trees is going to get a win. And sometimes more than one of them. But they just rely on Trito and Two Fly to demolish the competition in the 4 and 5. These players just haven't been losing at all. Trito, I think, spent a good chunk of the season sweeping every one of his matches as well through, I think, like the first 4 weeks. So this team has been super impressive, looks to remain on top and be the leader in red. I'd say they are the team we can pretty confidently predict would be a lock for Red Conference to make the playoffs. Dirty Mike and the boys, not featured on here, but very, very close. Murgle barely ahead of Swallows, so there's a chance that these two teams in Murgle and Swallows could be overtaken, but it's going to be a tall order. I'm excited to see what the recap brings us, but we're going to jump into this next match here. Back to you on this one, Lotus. It looks like things did not
Yeah,
go your team's way here. What happened with Swallows versus Sir Finley Squires?
this was an interesting week. I think Sir Finley came back. They were not doing well before, and this one was really important. Making sure you get as many points as one of the teams that's very close to playoffs is the only way you can make it in here. And Sir Finley did a great job. Ariana is just a crazy player. She got the win. I got to meet Why the Hunter's first THL match, and that's a good player. I'm excited to see his or her performance this season. Bill continuing his crazy dominant performance. MPV and Steve closing for some Philly Squires to win a really good score and put themselves in contention.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Also, not to be overlooked, but Ticketus Punchers picked up a huge victory as well. We don't have them featured, but a 17-9 over Chaos Theory, moving them way far ahead in those points for what they needed. Um,
Yeah.
these are two teams. Like if the playoffs started today, obviously we have our top 4: Trees, Dirty Mike, Murgle, and Swallows. But Finley's and Ticketus, they're so close, and anything can happen. An 8 or 9 point deficit is not too much for
Mm-mm.
some teams to just fully swing their fortunes. And
Yeah.
stay tuned for Tavern Talk tomorrow, our preview show, which is going to talk about the implications of the upcoming matches and,
Yeah, we're going over everything.
yeah, how this is going to look for legacy playoffs. You could say, hey, maybe Prep isn't totally out of it. I mean, obviously Chaos Theory is cursed, and they're definitely out of it. Sorry,
Yeah.
Isocles. There's some weird curse for your team. You pick a bunch of good players, and they just have bad seasons. Who knows what's happening? Somebody cursed you. I don't know what happened, but for Prep, we're not that far out of it, but
Yeah.
you should all know that our team is
Who,
just garbage. So
who
it's
do you
not
all
happening.
who do y'all play? I haven't looked at all the matchups. Who do you guys even play this week?
um, that's a good question. If we were a better competitive team, we probably would have a player like me who would know that offhand. Uh, yeah, we're playing Chaos Theory, so it's the
Oh,
battle of the
okay.
last
So
place teams.
I mean that would give you like realistically, if you guys put up a big week, Murgle plays Swallows and Sir Finley's plays Ticketus. So if they kind of level each other out and you get like,
Yeah,
then it's possible
Hey,
for sure.
optimistic
it's
Dr.
possible.
Feesh. You love to see it. But we are going to move
Oh
on.
yeah, I want to see y'all keep playing.
Well, hey, we're always going to play, at least for pride. I play every game
Oh
out
yeah,
to the bitter end, regardless of if I'm getting beat up or not.
same.
But it doesn't look promising. That's fine. We've got some great contenders here in the top
Oh
four for
yeah,
red, and a couple in striking distance to make the red playoff race very interesting. And now let's move on over to silver and take a look at what our playoff race looks here. Let's get the team on the screen again, and what do you know? They're holding that top spot once again. It is Meme
meme dream team.
Dream Team. Uh, just by the name alone, I didn't know that, this team was going to be actually serious, but they are very
I
serious. They are a very, very good
yeah.
team.
Yeah.
We don't have their match featured on the screen here. Didn't have enough to cram in for everything. Meme Dream Team just doing what they're doing all season
They did
long. They
really
haven't
well.
lost. They picked
Yeah,
up to 16-12 over Hearthstone Academy. Um,
yeah.
Effectively, I think probably killing Hearthstone Academy's
It,
chances. Although they do
yeah,
have a long shot still.
they have to play Hot Zills this week, so it's still possible. It's a very long shot because Dad Legend also has to fall out,
Yeah,
and our team has to do bad.
there's
But
some interesting math going on here, but Meme Dream
yeah,
Team and Flame Pimps, two teams that have been dominant in silver. Flame Pimps, the team with only one loss, and of course, who else could they have lost to but Meme Dream Team?
hmm
110 and 106 respectively. I think these teams are a lock. And then it
they
comes
are.
down to Dad Legend and Zilfs, who would be in if the playoffs started today. There's still one more week of play. Dad Legend looks to be in good shape, and Zilfs is looking to fight off the challengers from realistically Amber Flight and possibly Hearthstone Academy, a Noyo team, and IDK. Too many points to make up, it looks like at this point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but we'll start off. Fish, if you can walk me through Dad Legend versus Hot Zilfs. What went down in this one here?
All right. I kept a close eye on this one because of the playoff implications. Honest Zabe took a 3-2 win over Coles. Your mum Ked taking a 3-1 over Jammies. Donde taking a 3-2 over Yellow Dart. Donde having a really nice legacy season, as much as we like to bag on him and stuff. Really good 5-1 legacy season. Ducharmo
Probably
taking a th- taking a th- Ducharmo taking a 3-2 reverse sweep over Anfall on Sunday night. Series to watch. Clarity with a 3-1 over Gymphalos. And that sealed Dad Legend a good win.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Crucial victory for Dad Legend, of course, to
Oh
move their
yes,
way
very
into
crucial.
that number 3
Yeah.
spot, and also denying a decent amount of points for Zilfs, who's still hanging on to the 4 spot. And next, I want to talk about Amber Flight Gaming versus a Noyo team. A 12-11, but those extra 3 from winning are huge here, too.
They are
Um,
huge, yeah.
I know you don't want to talk about the 4 seed, Fish, but it is,
No,
of
no.
course, Duin that you had to play. So
I did have to place Doing,
that's
yeah.
that's where win streaks go to die. But why don't you
Yeah,
uh,
they
why
go
don't you
to
tell me about this match
all
and
right.
what happened?
Awesome, because I could tell you that the first 3 matches were played before the 4 and 5, so we already knew that we had locked up a big win when we were up 12-3. With Neji Boston taking a 3-1 over Inzi, I believe, to start the week, and then Dragon Rider took a 3-2 over Nice Jewish Owl. She has been struggling, taking 3-2 most of the season, and this time she got the win, and just so proud of how she played. And then Itachi, completely winless on the season, takes a 3-0 sweep over Catharsis, hoping that Itachi has found his stride, even just off of a 1-game win, um, can settle in and take this next week. And then afterwards, Haster took a 3-0 sweep loss to RoboCats. RoboCats is playing incredibly this season. Has really, really improved.
Yeah, is that
And
correct? Diamond 6-0. He hasn't lost at all. And wait, it'd be 9-0, right? Because he's 3-0 in match score. Has he actually gone full sweeps?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I know he hasn't lost in Hero in a long time.
Oh, you meant this past
Oh,
week. Okay,
oh
gotcha.
he double swept this week.
Very
Um,
impressive.
and then I took an unfortunate 3-0 loss to Duin. So a bit of a confidence shaker, but I'm still having a really good season. So looking forward to our matchup because we play Meme Dream Team this week.
Oh, a
And we'll
spicy
go over
matchup. Yeah.
we'll go
Excited to hear
over
about that
stuff like that
tomorrow on
tomorrow
Tavern
night.
Talk. Yeah.
Oh yes.
So this rounds out your Silver Conference here. The contenders looking to be obviously our top two, all but locked in. Dad Legend, barring a historic choke, Dad Legend players might remember from Hero Series a couple seasons
Oh
ago,
gosh.
when they
F2O
had a
Black
massive lead and actually did get blocked
knocked
out from the
out.
playoffs.
Yeah.
And then, Zilf's hanging on to a very slim lead. We see Amber Flight picking up some real momentum. Itachi finally getting that victory is huge. If the rest of the players can keep the momentum,
It
who
is.
knows what can happen. And,
Yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't have to say it, but don't count out HSA. They only have like the most
No, never
championships
do.
in all of Legacy
Yeah.
history. So,
Yeah.
there's that.
But there's that common theme with both our teams where we have players that are I think we both have a couple players at 1 and 5. And in our case, we happen to have 2 5-1 players, which probably gave us that couple extra points. But yeah.
Yeah. All right, and that is Legacy Series last week. Excited to recap and tell you who our playoff teams are going to be when we get to this next Tuesday. But without further ado, let's jump into the player power rankings. We'll put it up on the screen once I update that it is actually week 6 and not week 5. There we go.
Heck yeah.
And we have who else but your leaders all season long, the
Trito and
dynamic
2
duo in Two Fly and Trito, both 6-0, 18-5, 18-4, respectively, for these players. The only players from all of Red Conference, by the way, in the player power rankings or in honorable mentions, and they're number 1 and number 2. Just incredible season from these two. Moving on from there, number 3, Automated Button at 6-0, 18-6. Wild 9, 5-1, 17-7. Another undefeated player and always just in time, 6-0, 18-8. We've got your Mumked undefeated as well, 6-0, 18-8 in the 6th spot. Neji Boston in the 7, 5-1, 17-8. In the 8, we've got Snake Fods at 5-1, 17-7. And for the first time this week, no number 10. I guess that breaks the theme of doing rounding out the top 10 because we've
Tie.
got a tie
Yeah.
for the number 9s. It is Agent PWE and Based Inc., both with identical 5-1 records, 16-8 game scores, and 20 PRs. And Feesh, why don't you tell me who the honorable mentions are here?
Yeah. All right. So we have honorable mentions of Taco Cat, who's 5-1 with 15-7 on the game win rate. On the game record, I should say 20 PAR. We got Dusharmo 5-1, 17-8 at 19. Easy Bake with the same exact thing, 5-1, 17-8, and Jimbo as well, 5-1 with a 17-8 game record, and Well Played rounding out the honorable mentions, 5-1 with a 16-7 in the 19 PAR. And it looks like one sweep took me from 5th place.
Yep. Right out of the rankings.
But oh
Rigged.
yeah, I got yeeted right out by
Rigged.
Nah. I had a lot of 3-2s, so I wasn't.
Yeah.
I knew if I lost, I probably wasn't staying on the list.
Yeah, Lotus, I wanted to have you read these off, but I didn't see any difficult to read names. I was disappointed.
I
Yeah.
know. I've noticed you've been preserving me today. I'm sure in pro you're going to get the worst team for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I
Uh,
think there might be some tough ones in pro to read. I think there is one.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah. So
Love it.
always fun.
Every
But congratulations to all of these players. Really impressive seasons, especially to our undefeateds. And we've got just incredibly strong performances, despite the fact that Donde always rigs this and stacks the deck against you, whoever you are. Uh,
Man.
the line is always the same. Just keep
Yeah.
winning. Eventually,
Hmm.
you will make it in there. We got 1 week to go. I'm very excited to see if Two Fly and Trito can keep their fully undefeated wire to wire, like #1 and #2 player in all of Legacy uh, streak intact. So that's going to be exciting to see. We will check up on this next week. And any last things to say about Legacy before we move on to Pro?
Yeah, a lot of
Sweet.
representation from gold and silver, and only 2 people from red.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
Yeah, Red did not do so hot this season. I blame
Yep.
Prep and the garbage players like RonMexico and Brushy Tuna.
Actually, Red has very similar kind of design in a lot of teams. A lot of teams are going with a
Yeah.
heavy top and low bottom, other than one team that's doing super well by going the other way around.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
because of
definitely Team
Yeah.
Trees had a strat that paid off massively.
They did. Yeah.
yes, but when you have like a lot of teams going for the same strat, it's really hard. Even the best players, you can take the best players in red, their chance of beating other 1 seed or 2 seeds are not as high as the chance of a 5 seed or four. And so,
Yeah.
because of the layout and having strong teams in 1, 2, and 3, that's kind of what happened.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So that will wrap up Legacy for you. We'll be excited to, of course, recap the series or the regular season finale, that is, of Legacy next week. And let's move on to Pro. Let's get the meta report up here. Um, Probably still glitched on Druid, although I expect maybe Hunter's numbers from last week are correct because Hunter is not doing so hot as a class, but our
Yeah.
most frequent lineups: Demon Hunter, Druid, Rogue, Warrior. Seeing a pattern persist here. Druid, Rogue, Warrior is very common. I see very little Paladin though, which is
It's
interesting. Maybe
interesting that
because of
Paladin,
open list.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Perhaps.
think a lot of people expected Paladins to be around, and so you could probably try to target.
Yeah, there were definitely
Yeah.
some Paladin targets. Although, if you were around for Schoolstone on Sunday, you definitely got to see some Paladin getting through, as Myanodon did the classic Allura coin on 4 and cruised to an early 1-0 victory over Bill Snyder. Uh, Paladin still
Yeah,
doing some nutty things.
yeah, pretty much. There's nothing you can do against that play.
Yeah.
But our main trends here, as with most other series that we've seen, Warrior leads heavily in bans from last week and has taken the top spot in total bans. Paladin,
Yeah.
a lot of bans as well. Much more Demon Hunter bans than we see in other series. I think a nod to the skill level of Pro and how many OTK Demon Hunters get brought and how incredibly strong that deck can be in the right hands. And a decent amount of Druid and Rogue bans still sprinkled in there.
Were there? Oh, no, never mind. I think Druid has is still really strong in pro, and Druid can target some classes, especially some classes like Rogue and even Demon Hunter, quite well, depending on the Druid you bring. So there's definitely room for Druid in pro.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So we will see how the meta shifts, if maybe there are nerfs incoming sometime soon as well. Cough, cough,
Sure.
Allura. But we are going to move on to Black Conference, the week that was. And to start off, we have a new leader again. Largely due to the fact that for the boys who had taken the lead in the conference, was on a
Bye week.
bye last week because Hype
Yeah.
Horizon, they didn't even win. They actually took their first loss of the season to
Mm-hmm.
Swagoy Red. Really impressive victory
Go
by
Swagoy
Swagoy
Red.
Red. Although
Let's
Hype
go.
Horizon picked up enough points to take that top spot. Looks like there was a no contest match there too between D Money and Dr. Chosen, which could have maybe swung the series. Who knows? But
Yeah.
I don't think Hyperize is all that concerned about it. They've got 100 points. They're 5-1.
Yeah.
They're first in the conference. They're the defending champs. Sometimes they just like to take it easy, it seems, and
Mm-hmm.
that could have been what we were looking at last week. Let's start off though, Lotus. If you can break down for me, Hype Horizon versus Swagoy Red. We'll pass over the D Money match, but if we can talk about the rest.
Sure. Hyper Horizon versus Sugoi Rad. And yep, I realize what you're doing here. McBannerface beat Edelweiss 3-2. Revi beat Gamer RVG 3-1. There seems to have been no contest in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
Glauco beating Ox. Huge result. And Cool Kid beating Brasky for barely squeezing Swagoy Red through. It's a really it's a really good showing for
Yeah.
Swagoy Red. It's an important moment to show, especially against a really, really strong and dominant team.
Yeah.
Absolutely is. So big victory for them. It moves them closer in contention for playoffs here. We've got, Hype Horizon at 100, of course, number one. I don't think in any real danger of missing playoffs this season. Yasharaj's Clown College picked up a huge win, though, and moves to 98 points, just barely behind Hype Horizon, who is starting to, pick up fewer points in recent weeks. So the Clown College might be able to overtake them. For the boys, still hanging out undefeated, though, the only undefeated team in black, and will look to probably make up some ground coming back off of that bye. We've got Aeon, who started to struggle quite a bit after Donde's hype train gift that he made, but they finally appear to be getting back on track now. Sugoi Red, of course, with that big victory, followed by Unknown, Swagoy Black, Cirque du Soul Fragment, Bad to the Bone, Glock Gora, all just kind of jam packed in this really tight race and points with each other. And unfortunately for Illini Esports, unable to find a victory so far this season at 47 points. I think it's safe to say their season is most likely over when it comes to playoff contention. But
Yeah.
let's talk about that Yasharaj's Clown College match. Doctorfeesh, can you talk me through this one? 20-3. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah. Yeah. This was a stomping from YCC. Kalis Luna and Nails both 5-1 on the season. Kalis Luna getting a 3-1 win over Molestar, and Nails taking a 3-0 win over Jared Pullet. Um, Nails and Luna both insane players. You got Valera in the 3 seed taking a 3-1 over Cookie Monst, and then Lumble 3-1 over Linthesis, and Neji Boston taking a 3-0 sweep over Audrey Kills. And a bit of a rough season for Linthesis and Audrey Kill. I believe it's both of their first seasons in pro, and I mean having to face
Yeah, no
in
shame to either of those players. Lumble just
no
made
no shame to either of them losing to who they lost to. Yeah.
Yeah, the Lumble just made Masters Tour. Uh, so did
Yeah.
Kalis Luna and
Nails
Nails, by the
qualified.
way, in the top two of
Yeah.
Yasharaj's Clown College. And Neji, I think,
Yeah.
is the leader in our crossover player
He
standings
is the
still.
leader in crossover play. Yeah, he just overtook it this week from Heat Shock.
So yeah, just a monster team with,
That's a
you
monster
know,
team,
no
yeah.
real surprise to see that that they are doing so well, even in such a stacked field for Black Conference. So this playoff race should be pretty exciting. I think we've got our front runners pretty well set in these
Yeah.
top four in Hype, Yasharaj for the boys, and Aeon. There's a bit of a gap there between Aeon and Sugoi, another gap between
Hmm.
Sugoi and Unknown. Um, there's a chance that some of these teams can make a late season push, but more likely
Yeah.
than not, we're looking at a pretty clear cut top four.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And of course, with that, we can move on to the Pink Conference. Let's get it up on the screen here. Who else could be the leader in Pink Conference but
Make me hungry, please.
Popeye's spicy chicken sandwich every single week? Right when they
Yes.
were in danger of losing their top spot. Tap Washers was coming up real close on them. They were barely
Oh yeah.
behind in points. So of course Popeyes just put up an 18-9 against Tap Washers.
Oh yeah.
This is another team with three Masters Tour qualified players on their team. Mick,
Hmm.
Wet Goose, and actually maybe it's not three. I think Mick and Wet Goose made it. I'm not sure. I don't think Bobby X actually qualified, but I know that that's a player that has the golden card back and has high level Blizzard finishes. So no surprise when you look at the other two names on the
Yeah.
roster, Zabe and Mayan, that this team is just insane.
Hmm.
But we'll start off. Lotus, can you break down this matchup for me here? Popeyes versus Tap Washers. What happened?
Okay, so you didn't give me the hard name match. Good.
No, no, I'm saving
Um.
that for the Power Rankings.
Oh. Okay. So Popeyes got a really good result versus Tap Washers. Again, they've been doing it every week, but Zabe beat Heatshock 3-1. Mick lost to Ufric 2-3, but then it was just Popeyes with Bobby X, Wet Goose beating MMW and CMAC 3-1, and Mayan beating Bill 3-2. And you might have seen that on stream. We might talk about one insane really soon.
Hmm.
But this
Oh yeah,
was just a really strong showing for Popeyes. This team is one of the 2 or 3 teams to beat in Pro to become champion.
Hmm.
for sure. The title looks like it is going through. Um, you know, some combination of like Popeyes, Faction, Hype Horizon for the boys, Yashar's Clown College. Those are the teams that seem to be just head and shoulders above the pack in pro.
Yeah.
And
And
speaking of faction, actually, they did move up to the number 2 spot, beating Corrupted Clown Fiesta 20-8. We don't have them featured
dang.
on here because I wanted to talk about one of these other teams that is kind of sneaking their way into the playoff conversation a little bit.
Yep.
Seemingly kind of quietly here, but let's just first not overlook Faction sitting there 4 points behind Popeye Spicy Chicken Sandwich, and I'm sure Tavern Talk will go into a little bit more detail. They are playing each other this upcoming
Yeah.
week.
We will be covering that match.
But to round out the rest of Pink for you, as far as standings go, Tap Washers close behind in points and faction, and then it's the race. It's F2L at 79, Sheepies at 75, Attack Mode at 75, Sushi Rats at 73, Due Process at 72, and your bottom tier of the teams that are gonna really have a challenge to make it in. Corrupted Clown Fiesta 66, No Pros here 65, and Poem Locked and Loaded still looking to find their first victory. They came ever so close. Feesh, can you talk me through Sheepies versus Poem Locked and Loaded? This is a team in Sheepies that is 4 and
Yeah,
1. This is like the
they
quietest
are.
4 and 1 I think I've ever seen.
It
I,
is.
I
It's
barely
such a
mentioned
quiet
them.
4-1. Yeah. Um. I mean, their points per week are still pretty good at 15. This week they took a 13-12 win over Poem Locked and Loaded, with Azonix taking a 3-2 over I can't really tell if that's Cilio or Cilo. just based on being small letters. We got a 3-1 win for Violet over Y the Hunter. And then Always Lethal taking a looks like a DQ win over Poimlock. Not exactly obviously sure what happened there. And then Ejimmy, Ejimmy, or how you're supposed to say it, took a 3-0 win over Cyan Sheepies. And then 11 and Me took
The
a
3-2
3
over
to 2.
Bulldozer, yeah.
Yeah, 3-2 over Bulldozer.
A
So
close one.
Sheepies,
Just close one throughout.
yeah, it's a close one throughout. Yeah, I mean it really came down to why the Hunter getting a point against
Mhm.
Violet. If you
Yeah.
look at it, everything kind of mirroring each other.
And I think
Yeah.
probably the biggest factor in Sheepies just being sort of, at least for me, under the radar, is they just had a
Yeah,
super early buy, and they've
they
been
did.
low on points for most
Yes.
of the season as they
Mhm.
just catch up in games played with the rest of the teams. But
Yes.
their points per week still pretty decent and puts them in strong contention as a playoff contender. Obviously, F2L is holding down that 4 spot, the team with 2 pro titles, so always someone to keep an eye on. And that, I think, are your main contenders here. But I wouldn't be honestly surprised with any of Sheepy's attack mode, Sushi Rats, or Due
No.
Process finding their way into playoffs. It should be an exciting race.
Oh yeah, definitely should be.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and that rounds out Pro. That is our final conference to cover. We're going to go over our Pro Series player power rankings. We'll jump into some highlights, and that will do it for us. Let's start with the power rankings. Let's get it up on the screen. All right, Lotus, moment of truth. Take me through these power
Okay.
rankings. Got some good names
Okay.
for you.
Let's see if I can make this one. On first place, we have Harash, who's 5-1, followed by Flamekiller, 5-0, and German Chef, also 5-0. McBanterface afterwards, and I don't know who this one is. Brushy Tuna at 5. No, sorry,
I
5.
like it was a typo.
Some scrub.
Yeah.
Nah, Ron's
At
5-4. Ron 4-1.
Yeah, really, really strong showing for Ron and Bro, and in all series, but also in Bro. Heat Shock, crazy streak, 5-1 in Pro. Zabe 5-1 in Pro. Kalis Luna 5-1. Vampire Nighthawk 4-1. Unlimited Power 5-1. To round up the top 10.
Nice. And how about honorable mentions for us, Lotus? Go ahead.
Sure. For honorable mentions, we have Rescue Wabbit, 4-1. Aeroponics. I'm going to call for the card. Not
Well played.
Zomix.
Called an
4-1.
audible.
Brian O'Brien, 4-1. Ridiculous Hat, 4-1, and Molstar, 4-2.
This, I mean, the list of players here always just impresses me so much. Like, Pro is insane. There's so
They are,
many
yeah.
incredible players. Like,
So
just even looking at our final honorable mention is Molstar, who's an unbelievably good player. And
yeah,
just like across
Yeah.
the
yeah,
board, just the field of players is super impressive.
Hmm. Indeed.
it's so insane.
So congratulations to these players. Rigged as always. I don't even know how I'm in the 5 when Heatshock, Zabe, and Kalis Luna. Kalis Luna, who also beat me, by the way, are all at one more win than me and behind me in the standings. But hey, whatever, we'll take it. Um,
Hmm.
and let's move on over to our caster screen as we move towards the very end of our show. We have just a mini segment to cover for you, as always, our RNG card of the week. Lotus, do you have any specific highlights you wanted to break down this week?
Well, I think we were together on School Stone when this happened, and Bill Snyder had an insane run. And I believe you have the clip with the card of the week that it just has to be Secret Passage.
Oh
It
yeah.
was so it I mean, you were the caster, so how did it feel for you to see just 15 damage out of nowhere?
I kind of felt like it was coming because I've seen this rogue deck in action before, but it was still absurd, like the amount of things that he had to find to get there. It was pretty crazy. So let's put it up here for you all in chat on the screen. Here is our highlight clip of the week from last week in the streams that were Hearthstone. Although I would be thrilled to see a Moonfang just for fun if he ripped the J bar looking for that high roll.
Gets the second passage.
Oh wow.
Sap is not it. Poison, very good.
Deadly
See a
poison is excellent.
This is the miracle that we were looking for.
Well, we have seen both
Oh wow.
backstabs already be played.
Oh,
Sorry, both eviscerates already be played.
Sap to
true.
corrupt the nitro boost. Now
Hmm.
we're at 11. Secret passage needs to find 4 more damage on 2 mana.
That seems not
And it
possible.
finds
That's
it.
2, and
Oh, it
that's
does seem possible.
6.
But this is the possibility.
Wow.
And that
And
does it.
yeah, Rogue just, I mean, looking awful from Bill's side in that matchup for like a couple turns there. Although I would be thrilled to see a Moonfang. There you go. Just absurd.
Oh my gosh.
By the way, Bill hanging out there at 1 health.
1
And
HP, by the way.
yeah, picks up just a crazy lethal. What more can you ask for from your RNG card of the week than some kind of nutty
Yeah,
blowout victory?
Wow.
I do want to send Blizzard a message here that if you're going to nerf Allura, just maybe do Secret Passage as well. It's
Yeah, just hit
so
it again.
good.
Yeah,
Just hit it again. Yeah, clearly needs another nerf.
maybe 2 mana this time. But that is going to wrap up our show for you for tonight. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, as always, for watching. We'll turn it over to our guest first, Doctorfeesh. Final words on the night.
Man, I had a lot of fun doing this show. And I'm also looking forward to tomorrow night as we preview legacy playoff scenarios. We look at the matches from each and every series. We're going to have a couple of really good guests in Neji Boston and Nice Jewish Owl, along with myself and Justin. As JR will have to step back for the week.
Gotcha. Right on. All right, Lotus, final words.
Final words. I'm going to advertise a bit of the matches happening this week. So, Schoolstone Sunday, we have an insane schedule. We have Hero Mr. Python versus PWE at noon, followed by Legacy Neji Boston versus Easy Bake at 1 p.m., followed by 2 p.m. Mech Banterface versus Molestar for Pro. I'm really excited for this. I'll be joined by Doctorfeesh and Rebobson for these matches, and it's going to be nuts. We are still looking for matches for Saturday. To be confirmed, we're trying to get Duin versus Battle Tagger, waiting for Battle Tagger to let me know or not. But if you would like to be on stream Saturday afternoon between noon and 5 p.m., you can DM me. Saku has a few matches set, but the time slot of 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday and Friday is empty if you would like to play your match on stream.
Nice. Yeah, always spots open. Make sure you reach out. You know who to go to. Talk to Lotus, talk to Donde, talk to Saku, talk to Doctorfeesh. You got
Yep.
a whole lot of available fun stuff that we can do to get you on stream and get some of your matches featured. As always, I'm your host, RonMexico. Thank you again for tuning in. Keep posted, of course, to our Discord, to this Twitch channel in the future. You're going to be seeing Tavern Talk coming up on Wednesday. We've got matches for you starting on Thursday into Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday, we come back around with usually around the saloon, but I think we're actually going to have an off week in around the saloon. Mako's taking some time off, and then of course back to Hearthcenter next Tuesday, where we get to recap some more exciting stuff for you, like what happened with Legacy playoffs and so on. That will do it for all of us here. Hope you have a great night, and we will catch you next time.
See ya.
Good luck.